Hey y'all, today's guest is the wonderful Eric Castorena from Houston, Texas. He is a brilliant designer. For this conversation, we mostly focused on his work in the music world, doing stuff like album packaging, poster design, helping bands and artists develop brand identities and logos, stuff like that. If you are interested in design at all, or if you're an up-and-coming designer, a lot of good stuff in this one for you. We also obviously talk about his mixtape, and then we play a game where we do a bracket of some of the greatest album art. As always, you can go to tapeclub.substack.com. That is where you can find information on how to sign up for this thing. If you have any questions, please email us at hi@tapeclub.biz, or I guess you can drop a comment, but I'm probably not going to respond to the comments. Either way, here is my conversation with Eric. We have Eric Castorena here. Eric, I was just telling you before we started, you are officially the first guest who we've had on here who I don't personally know. So this is going to be an awesome, awesome episode. I'm super pumped. You've also done the most prep. Sorry, other guests, but you've done the most prep of any guests. Eric, welcome to the show. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you for having me. Nice to meet you in person or via the web.
Yeah, the new version of in-person. 2025's new in-person is just me talking into my iPhone camera in my basement. Eric, you are a designer, a graphic designer, and also, I guess, more than just a graphic designer. I guess like packaging, album packaging, posters, brand identity, logo design. You do it all, and you do it with a focus, it seems like, from what I know, on music-related stuff. We're going to get to all of that in a bit. The first thing I want to ask you, before we really dive in, is what has been stuck in your head lately?
I like this segment from, I'm a listener now too as well. This song,
our very first one, thank you.
This song that I was really into back in 2009, it came back on my radar. I volunteer at K-True Rice Radio, and digging through the library, I was like, holy shit, cool. They have this album, Color Revolt, with the fancy European spelling, but this song, Blood in Your Mouth, I kept listening to that EP nonstop in 2009, and like full disclosure, I've played it twice in the past couple of weeks in my little hour segment on the air. It's kind of feels like me Without You vibes, little like Southern Gothic.
Yeah, Southern Gothic, heavily 2009 coded is what I'm the vibe I'm getting. You said you volunteer at K-True, that's KTRU, that's Rice's radio station. And you found this there. Did you actually, you found the physical CD in their collection? How does that work? Do you play music off of CDs when you DJ there? Oh,
for sure. Yeah, they have a huge library that's all organized that we just did a whole overhaul. The Royal We, as volunteers and students, student radio station with a lot of people power from the local volunteer community. And man, a very dusty, awesome closet full of like vinyl records.
That is wild to me, because I volunteer with a radio station called Brain Rot Radio. They're fully online, fully remote, and because of that, obviously fully digital, right? So we're just kind of playing music off of our computers. So it's cool, it's refreshing for me to hear that you picked up a physical CD. I think you have a lot of physical CDs that we're going to get to later in the show.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And obviously you've designed packaging for a lot of these things. So this will be a very physical media heavy episode, I think.
This is just to make everyone angry that's listening strictly to the audio version.
I've got a feeling that the people who are listening to the audio version, this right here is the episode where we're going to put them on. They're going to get on YouTube. They're going to go, fuck it, yes. They're going to hit pause. They're going to go to YouTube, the Rue Defense YouTube, and they're going to find us. I think we do have some physical media connoisseurs who listen to us. After all, we do have the tapes and all that. So for me, what has been stuck in my head is a song by Ted Leo and the Pharmacists called Walking to Do off of their album Shake the Sheets. Yeah, Ted Leo and the Pharmacists, man. I don't know how much you know about them, but they are one of my favorite bands of all time. Yeah, and this is going to sound crazy, but maybe best band out of DC ever, in my opinion.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
Super hot take.
I think he's pretty strong up there. I recently picked up a Numero release Chisel, his previous effort, and that's super awesome. But Ted Leo, whenever I hear him, now you're going to put Ted Leo song in my head when I wake up tomorrow. It's going to be like "I'm a Ghost." That's one of my favorite songs forever. It's so the catchiest hook ever. A little like jangly guitar fun part. I just love it.
Yeah. Ted Leo is an absolute genius, and like he carries the torch for me for like DC guitar music, if I'm just gonna put it that way, because like, yeah, you can talk about Fugazi and all that and DC punk and all that, and actually, you know, like you said, Chisel was part of that, I think, but we would be silly to pretend that there wasn't like a gigantic lull in guitar music, and I think during those decades of guitar lull in the mainstream, Ted Leo carried the torch for DC guitar music, so huge fan over here. Eric, let's get into your work as a designer. So when people see that like there's a designer on this show that's about music, they might not immediately make that leap. However, you have worked on a lot of music related stuff. The first question I'll ask is, let's just start big picture. How did you get into design, and how has music kind of played a role in your development as a designer?
I feel like the two have always been there in my life. Just like visually aware of my surroundings. A lot of road trips growing up to the panhandle of Texas. Texas is fucking huge. And that's where my grandparents lived. RIP. Last one is my grandma. She lives with my folks now. But a lot of rides, you know, backseat, begging for batteries because the CD Walkman is like eating them up like a monster. But album covers always been a thing. And then, you know, having grown up with like a big extended family, I had a couple of older cousins that are like late Gen Xers, and I just remember, you know, all of us trying to play the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, whatever, whichever one it was at the time, and waiting, biding my time, and then looking at the shelf of my my cousin Nick. He had like Dookie, he had Nirvana, you know, just everything you needed for the 90s. And one that really stuck out to me was like Siamese Dream, and then also oh my god, the really long double CD. Yeah,
Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Seeing that packaging was so badass. But the one that really stuck with was the photography for the photograph for Around a Fur for Deftones. That angle, the moodiness, that vibe, I got like weird feelings. I was like prepubescent, so I didn't know what was happening. But that, and then logos, you know, on the car ride again, you see all the icons on the cars, billboards, etc. It's just, you're inundated. And it was a point where I'm like being aware of like letter choices, color, why is it this, why is it that? Fast forward into, you know, being a kid born in the mid 80s, the 90s kid. Ninja Turtles ruled. Would draw all of them, you know, just draw, and you know, so found my outlet in art class. Public schools in Texas, as very much as you see in Friday Night Lights, there is not a lot of funding. My senior year, seriously, there was 4 art classes in one like time period. We had art AP, which is me and 3 people, art 3, art 2, and 1 teacher. We had like fucking like 30 kids. So we were kind of left to our own devices. So me and my buddy Nino, he gave me like a bootleg copy of like on a CD-ROM Photoshop, and you know, we were just, you know, farting around on that, and I was making GeoCity websites, fan sites at home after hours, trying to do like band stuff like band artwork for friends' bands, and made a little kind of like an online zine, if you will. It was called the Central Texas Hardcore Zine, CTHXC, something like that. I don't know, something silly.
Is it still active? You still got any
Dude,
of archive sites up or something?
I tried to find it, man. It's all gone. I deleted that email, and I guess I lost it through Yahoo. I remember at one point it was .tk. It was like one of those weird islands that had like a free hosting. No, it was really sad. Like I want to see how badly that design was, but it was very emo-centric.
It's sometimes it's good that the old internet stuff is gone in some ways. You know, it is a weirder, bigger conversation about like the idea of archiving digital stuff, you know, like the beginning of the internet and then into the 90s, 2000s, even the 2010s up, and it's gonna disappear and it'll just be gone. And you know, link rot is a very real thing. You know, shameless plug, but on our Tape Club Substack, if you go back a few articles, we wrote something about archiving and how important it is. It's a huge mission of ours, but or a huge thing that we're, you know, proponents of, I should say. But I want to go back to what you were saying about those iconic kind of album art stuff. Like Dookie you brought up was a very specific one that I also remember. I think it's so interesting to me that like your relationship with kind of music is also very, very visual. For me personally, I didn't care much about the visual side of music really ever, and I would argue I still kind of don't. I think album art is very cool and I can appreciate it, but like music videos, for example, I could give a fuck. I'm not really gonna watch them, you know what I mean? Like when a band puts out a music video, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, I don't know, I just need to like listen to it. Even before we started, you and I talked a bit about how I think podcasts are a really cool audio medium. I don't think they need video, but here we are. I just think it's really interesting that like you're able to kind of balance these two things, the visual side of it and the audio side of it, because I assume you play music as well, right?
No, not for not trying. I know where my lane is, and my lane is more of a curatorial, visually and mixtape wise.
That is so interesting. So you DJ and you do you help with visual brand identity and stuff, but you just don't play at all.
I've done karaoke. I've learned I've tried to learn how to play bass. There's too many things to do and not that much time to get better at shit. That's
true. I mean, you do have to practice quite a bit, especially like when you're starting, you know, but then it all falls into place, and you learn one thing, you start learning all of them.
It's not for not trying. I think I might come back to it later. I'm definitely one of those guys that you know that says like tries a lot of things but masters none. I even had like a 5-year stint of doing stand-up comedy. And
that one's fucking hard, man. That's the hardest one of them all. I would never. I couldn't get up there and talk to a room of folks who aren't responding. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part, because it's like you want to have a conversation. I don't want to just fucking, you know, get up there and rant or whatever. So okay, you obviously are now a working designer for many years at this point. You've obviously worked on stuff that is not just music stuff, although the music stuff sometimes I assume can be quite fun, and maybe the more fun jobs can be those. But you also have a lot of professional client work that you do. How do you balance doing professional stuff versus the passion stuff?
Well, the stuff that paid the bills came first. The passion was always there, and finding the outlet of, you know, like stop complaining and being active and, you know, putting your DIY ethos to the forefront rather than just be like, oh man, I wish, you know, there's more stuff in the scene. I wish I could help you with this or that. Like I was definitely very grumpy in my early 20s, like doing the day job stuff, not doing super fun work that like in college you see all this great inspirational stuff. You got these design rock star heroes doing the big work, saving the world, inspiring you. And I fell into it was during like the first recession. It's weird to say that out loud. I fell into this type of design niche that I was aware of, but not to the point of like an expert at all. I kind of learned on the spot, where I fell into designing wayfinding systems. And the first company I was at focused on like hospitals. So get you to point A to point B, someone has to design it, and you notice it when it's bad. So the goal is to kind of have it like integrate with the interior design, architecture, landscape. And you're at your most vulnerable, you're stressed out, you might be injured, or your family member is, and you got to get there. So kind of doing that was way different than I ever thought, because my mind, I was like, oh cool, I'm going to do like branding for, I don't know, insert cool big company websites, etc. It also kind of scratched that itch of wanting to design something that is like has a longer lifespan. So that scratched the itch of like not doing something evil for evil oil companies and shit.
I was going to jump in real quick and say I definitely feel you on a lot of that, because my day job is working in film and video, and specifically with the big focus on post-production. And I totally feel you on the early 20s, like getting into the field and trying to understand where you fit in that field, because
right.
You're not gonna do like the sexy cool shit. You're just gonna do shit that builds your skills, right? And it's not always gonna be like things that you're proud of. And I think it's important to learn how to still walk away from that job every day having learned a skill. Because for me, like, I was also the angry young man where I would be like, man, fuck this. Like, I don't want to work on this kind of shit. I want to do cool shit. I want to work in sports or in music or whatever. And then, like, now I'm like, oh, man, please give me the corporate gigs. Please give me the corporate gigs. I don't want to fucking be creative for money. I don't want to do it. So I think that's interesting. So you obviously have done a lot of, I've looked at your site, you've done a lot of projects that are, let's put it in quotes here, the cool projects, like the music stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about how you kind of got the ball rolling on moving into that world instead of just focusing on kind of corporate stuff.
It's, we can always be our worst critic of like, man, I should have done this shit earlier. And I had a professor in college who was like, hey, you go to like a lot of shows. Why don't you do posters for your friend's band? And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready yet. No, I can't do it. Like, like it was like, I'm not worthy, kind of like Wayne's World shit. And I don't know what, but like, I guess I got confidence after graduating, and one of the last projects we had to design our whole like brand identity, business cards, letterhead, website. And I don't know if you noticed on my website, on my bio, I have it on the top, like, no half-ass work, only full-ass work. And that's my mantra. That's how I live my life. I'm putting an asterisk on it now, because that is, you will fucking wear yourself out doing that. Like, I would eat that way, drink that way. When I was an avid runner, I would run that way and just like beat myself up. It was, anyways, that's an aside. But
you found the moderation since.
I'm working on the moderation. Anyways, the business cards, I felt like a professional, like an adult person. So going to these local shows that I would frequent, I don't know, at least once, 3 times, 4 times a month, kind of getting into the scene and meeting people, and having that liquid courage, I passed the card to this guy that always liked his music. And I was like, yo, let me know if you ever need a poster, I got you. And I'll work with you, whatever you can afford, I got you. Like, that's where I kind of learned to have that entry point. And having a passion for things, you pretty much have to kind of do it for free, really kind of.
Especially when we're talking about working with musicians, you know, no offense to musicians, but like, come on, we all know that they're not going to fucking pay you.
Yeah, to have empathy as well, you know, we're all struggling in our own ways.
Totally. Yes. 100%. Like, they're not going to pay you because they're not getting paid. That's what it boils down to.
Totally. And the thing that helped me was like, approach a band. Don't do a singer-songwriter unless that singer-songwriter comes from money. Because he can be like, yo, everyone pitch in $10. I'll do a poster for that much, or 15, 20, I don't know.
It's so funny to me that you have, that you mentioned like being almost trepidatious in like approaching these artists. It's very interesting to me that there's like this cult, like not even a cult. It's like this weird, musicians sometimes will feel like they're like higher than like us peons or whatever, and then you talk to them and you're just like, oh, you're just like a dude who plays the guitar. Like,
yeah, you're a
why was I
nerd.
so afraid? Yeah, like why was I so afraid to approach you? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I imagine after you kind of started working on these smaller things, you saw how it got easier and it snowballed, and you kind of started gaining a foothold and working on music related stuff, right?
Oh, for sure. You know, they look for you to be the expert in that field, you know, film, video, design. Like, they can't do it on their own. If they do, you see how it looks. It looks kind of shitty. Even though, you know, like nowadays there's so many like free accessible tools that, you know, kind of, that's cool and all, but also fuck that sometimes.
It's the same thing as what you said about, you know, you don't play music. You said you've tried, but you're like, it's hard to learn. Design's hard to learn, right? And these folks are focused on playing music and making music, so they don't have the time to like learn Photoshop or learn Illustrator or even just learn what colors go together. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's they're just different skill sets. So when you're someone who works around musicians, you might feel like, oh man, I don't know if I can approach these guys, they're so cool or whatever. But it's actually it goes both ways. For them, they're like, holy shit, like a filmmaker wants to work with me, this is crazy. So I don't know, I think it goes both ways. I want to talk about the design side of music. So one thing I wrote in the show notes here is brand identity. We normally associate that with companies and, you know, apps and startups and stuff like that. But how important, in your opinion, is brand identity to musicians? Or does it not really matter that much at all? Is it overblown?
Like kind of like what we talked about before about finding that moderation. I think the happy medium is cool. I think trying to find like a visual brand identity is such like a big lofty word, and it sounds so corporatized. I think more applicable word could be like visual personality. You know, that bands, musical artists are trying to find. Like, I don't think they need a logo per se. Like, it could be cool to have that. You know, Black Flag has the bars.
Rolling Stones have the tongue.
Yeah, you know, that's good for, you know, awareness and great for merch and stickers and everything. I think it's important, but what's more important is quality music and to have a visual that match that. And that's where I kind of come in, try to match that. I approach bands that I would like to work with, that I like, and see that they may be lacking in that, and want to have that equal footing of like, oh, this sounds amazing, but oh shit, I don't want to buy that merch. I want to help them have an album cover that makes you that entices you to buy it. If you know, physical media, or click that stream button or whatever. Same thing with the poster. I like to call them posters or gig, you know, not flyers. Flyers are kind of things you throw away. And that's still cool for the ephemera form of it, but I think a poster has intent. It's designed. The best compliment I've received is when people steal my shit, like off a wall. Like if it's stapled, they carefully take it off. Like I did a festival It was called the Free Press Summerfest in Houston. It was short-lived. It was like a handful of years. In the dead summer, it was a dumb idea for that part of the season. But they were trying to do initiatives with the local artists, and I was part of that group one year, and we were given pretty big old canvas piece, and it was more of a fine art-ish piece. Like, it was illustrative. I did some Tom Waits references on it, and did a funny David Bowie mashup of a armadillo with a Bowie knife. David, Texas history's funny. Yeah, I tried to find it at the end of the festival. That shit was gone. Like, someone stole it, which I'm like, cool. I don't know where it is. And it doesn't matter because I put it out there.
Do you have, like, you don't have any copy of that one at all?
I got photos.
Right. And you could obviously make a copy of it if you want, because you have the files or whatever, I assume. But
that was all hand done.
Oh, wow. It was.
Yeah. It was like hand painted on a piece of canvas.
Right. Okay. So that was just one of one then.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Damn. Okay, so that makes it even crazier. Like, someone took a one of one piece. Hey, if you have that piece, fucking come find us. We'll pay top dollar for it. No, but that's
I won't.
I'll do it. We'll get the subscribers' money together. We're gonna fuck the tapes. We're putting it towards getting this canvas. Yeah, that's so. I guess we're on the topic of poster design. I had poster design written here as well. What you've done a lot of posters on your site. There's a section dedicated to it. Do you collect your own posters if you can? You know what I mean? Do you try to tear them down afterwards and keep them?
I try to. It's kind of sad living in, the post Facebook world where, a lot of these were asked to be designed for the digital only, but I designed them with the intent that they could be screen printed. So a lot of my design choices, I do limited colors. So if they have the money, we could do a 3-color printed run, or, they can print it for cheap on whatever. I always try to approach the band and be like, hey, you can print these and sell these if you want. I try to do it like where it's good enough you want to buy it. At least that's why I intend. I have a handful of some. I have one up here on the wall that it was really cool that I got the band to sign it. It was Azure Ray, and it was that Saddle Creek band, Maria Taylor and Dorinda Fink. On that same lineup was Nick Freitas. I'm a big Saddle Creek head. He was part of Connor Oberst's Mystic Valley band. He played solo. Very shy, but I got him to sign it too. It's framed
that
on
is
the
so
wall.
cool. That's so cool that you were able to do that and work with like a band who you're a fan of. How did that come about? Did they just seek you out, or was it like someone recommended you?
It was through the promoter. They are now defunct. That venue is now defunct as well, which is kind of cool. So like a historical piece for me of like, rest in peace, Walters on Washington. And it was just a buddy that he plays in bands, or used to. I'm not sure what he's up to nowadays, but he was part of this collective called Hands Up Houston that brought a lot of great bands. Like Ted Leo came and played at Rice, I believe. A lot of bands from that era. Key Without the U. I think of like the Savvy Fab. Death Cab played in this upstairs place called Natsuo, which was Houston spelled backwards in downtown. There's a lot of cool videos of that, and to kind of be a little piece of that collective at the end and like give my art for that. I don't know. I'm super about community and curating like articles and stuff, and I don't know. I can see myself being like an old guy on a rocking chair telling the youngins how it used to be, but not in a pissed off way. Just being like, "Oh, you like that band? Check out this band!" Like,
yeah, like the tastemaker grandpa or whatever. I will say, like, I think about this more and more all the time. that's really all there is with music is
Right.
it's all so ephemeral. And like, I mean, I'm not even making a statement about like the digital world. I like literally music is so flash in the pan. Like if a band, most bands, you're never going to hear them. And if a band does get big, it's usually like one song. If in a great situation, it's one album. But for the most part, you're never going to hear any of this shit. Like, being a part of it is really what matters. And like trying to take, it's the memories that come with the songs. It's the memories that come with the posters. It's like, it's everything around the music that matters more than the music. And that's just my humble opinion. But I think it's, you know, you're forever going to remember that poster is going to bring back those memories of those Saddle Creek bands in a way that's very different than just like hearing one of their songs I guess.
Oh, totally. And I it's cool whenever people can kind of like cite an old poster of like, oh man, I remember that one you did for them. That's really cool. I have it on my wall somewhere. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Thanks. Like, it's wild.
One thing that I love doing is looking at old like festival posters or stuff like that and just seeing like what bands played together at a certain thing. I think that's always really interesting. And there's this bar, I don't know if it still exists. Last I checked, they were trying to raise money to stay open, but it's called Pine Box Rock Shop in New York. And their whole bar is like just old ticket stubs, and it is so funny to see like, and they're covered with a you know, like some epoxy or something, but like
a lacquer, yeah,
it's so interesting to be like, oh, someone, My Bloody Valentine played at this venue in Manhattan for $3 or whatever. It's like it's always a trip, and those little artifacts are so cool. Which again, to bring it back to preservation, I think that's why it's so important. It's like, you know, I hope one day we have digital museums or something, because like we can't just let like all this shit disappear. Look, we are running a little bit long in this first segment, but we could not go away from this first segment without talking about album packaging. So I think that is so interesting. It's so cool that you've worked on this. I think you've designed like 12-inch vinyl packaging, 7-inch. You've designed CDs, digipacks, and jewel cases, I believe, and probably more. For those of us who've never worked in that world, or who maybe aren't as familiar with music and how packaging it works and how the design process works, can you walk us through that process a little bit? What goes into it? What kind of decisions do you have to make? And how does this thing go from idea to physical prototype or physical product?
That's a great question. There's a lot to consider, but it's nothing that, you know, you need a professional for. Like total DIY, you can get any template online for free. Like J cards or what they called, you know, the cassette template for the paper, which I love the name of the podcast for that. Pretty much just what I could best give advice for is be considerate of the media and the size and scale. I feel like there's so many like flub ups of people taking just a CD and blowing it up for an LP, and the type is too fucking big, the track listing is giant. Like, look at the human scale of it when you're holding that thing. Like, consider when it's in a record shelf, do you want the label to be visible when you have it all like this? When you're also going like that, when you're digging in the crates at the store, put the name up there if you want it to. You don't have to. You can. That's a design choice. You can have a sticker where, you know, it's just a big beautiful image. There's so much to consider for it. Like for a digipack, you know, you can make one big image. You don't have to segment it to just a front, side, and back.
The Digipack, for those who aren't aware, can you explain what that is?
Oh, yeah. So the jewel case is the plastic one that kind of opens up. The Digi has just one little plastic piece where it holds the CD, and it's closed as like an LP. So when I was started to first design packaging, bands didn't have money for LPs, barely enough for a CD. So like a Digi was like fancy, and a lot of them would do like slip cases, which were just
a slip case is like it's like a sleeve almost. It's like what a vinyl sleeve would be, but down to the size of a CD.
Exactly, and that's also fun to kind of design it if the intent of it could be a giant record. I really wanted to stress like scale matters, and your decisions are yours, your taste. You don't have to be a snooty designer to like dig what you dig. If it works, it works.
So I could talk design with you all day, but unfortunately it's not purely a design show. We are going to talk about some music. Before we go to the break, I just want to touch real quick on a DJ collective that you are a founder of. It's called Post Post. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Post Post is?
So Post Post, I started it in 2018. It was actually a mixtape. I named it after a mixtape I made. I always wanted to DJ in some capacity with two turntables. I just had the one and a cassette deck, a double cassette deck for my home listening pleasure. And, I think we were probably around the same age. We weren't of the era to have dubbed cassette tapes from vinyl records that a brother or a friend would make. We had mixtapes that you would record from the radio or a mix CD. That's kind of what I grew up with. So hearing, Gen Xers talk about that, I wanted to try it to scratch that itch of DJing. So I was DJing with the mixtape, and a friend, a coworker, my buddy Steven, at the time we don't work anymore together, but we're still really close, tight music buds. He asked me to he gave me a prompt. He's like, make a mixtape of the Houston scene. So that's kind of what this one is. It's a different version, but I did, and I designed the label and everything. It became a little project as well, and I called it Post Post. Actually, no, take that back. That was tape number 2. Tape 1 was my idea of emo. It was my commentary of like these stupid emo nights that don't play fucking emo. They're playing
basically pop punk.
Yeah, and then System of a Down, like what? And Korn, like they have its own place, but that's just not that. Well, anyway, so
that's that's like emo nights and like emo cruises and shit like that is like the final boss of like cringe millennials. It is. I hate that shit, and I always have hated it. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Oh, but I'm saying like I made my tape and I called it Post Post because it was post punk. Some people could call that emo. And it was kind of like my elder millennial emo curated tape. And then cut to hanging out with a buddy that was doing a DJ night, but it was only for bands. It was only for musicians. And I was like, yo, if you ever have someone like not show up or you need someone to fill in, I've done it once before at some bar. I'm down, let me know. And he was like, okay, cool. So I opened that door. Me and my buddy that was with me, he was like, all right, let's do it. So we would play post-punk, post-hardcore, and I say post, etc. So you can hear anything from Gang of Four to Taking Back Sunday if they want a request of it, to Selena. Like I love Tejano, grew up with that. Throw in Alan Jackson. I don't know. I got like random stuff in my collection.
But it's almost like your design philosophy. There's a reason for whatever it is that you're going to play. There's always a justification for it, right?
True. And the fun thing is it's a duo. So it's me and my buddy Dylan. We bring a crate or two. We don't have a plan. I control one turntable, he controls another, and we kind of do dueling banjo style. But we do it in a collaborative effort. So like he plays one, I'm like, oh shit, that's tight. I got something that would vibe with that. or he's like, let's take it this direction. It's very much on a whim. So every night is different.
Well, what we'll do is we'll put a link. I assume there's a post Instagram or something like that. We'll put it in the show notes, in the YouTube description, in the Substack, whatever. So anyone who's in Houston can see if there's any nights coming up when they can come check you out.
For sure.
Let's do this. Let's take a really, really quick break, and then we're going to come back and we'll talk about your mixtape. All right, it is that time again. It is time for the mixtape segment. So, Eric, you have a mixtape here. I didn't ask you about the theme, but I'm gonna guess that this is Houston related stuff, or tell me a bit about what the theme here is.
Yeah, it kind of follows. It's a little like autobio. My entry point into finding independent DIY music in Central Texas, where I grew up, Copperscove, Killeen. It's like an hour north of Austin, to kind of migrating to Houston and highlighting big bands that were big to me, that helped cultivate me finding my place with design, chosen family, and a little bit of some bands I worked with. So I think there's one cover in here that I designed, but I did a lot of posters for some of them. And some of them were like good friends. I was like in their wedding or attended it. I would love to do a part 2 of like new and happening cool shit right now in Houston, or just things I'm vibing on. Cause a lot of these were just memory lane that I was like, oh man, I don't know what to do. Cause like when you gave me that prompt, I thought about doing like just favorite shows that I saw a lot live. Or I don't know, or even thinking just I could go Saddle Creek. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Exactly.
The possibilities are endless. Like we've had people come on here and do, my friend Michael, who was on here, MK as we call him, he had a whole like, in quotes, I'll say, thesis for his thing. Yeah. And then we've had people come on and just be like, I don't know, these are just like 8 songs I like or whatever. So, you can kind of do anything you want with it. That's the beauty. Let's start it off with the first track. So you picked a song called Fighting Wonders by a band called Thumbscrew. And I guess the preface I'll give is that your sequencing, you started it off with some really heavy, big songs. So tell me a bit about Thumbscrew and Fighting Wonders.
So Thumbscrew, they were kind of the hometown heroes, the boys that, worked their asses off. They were a couple years older than me in high school. They moved to Austin and did a few albums, and they have a cult following. They just released kind of like a comprehensive, like, not through Numero, but this shit was like limited to 200. And I just because I know the singer very well, Daniel, I got a friends and family link that I got to download or buy at the spot. Otherwise, like those shits go for like $300 easy.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's a cult following that's super dedicated, kind of.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a metalcore to give like a vibe. Think Botch, Norma Jean, like the early 2000s kind of Zayo, all that type of vibe. So I love this band a lot. They're one of dear friends, Daniel and Steven, are in a new band called Designs without the vowels. They're still playing. They're older, they have family, so they play once in a while, like Weekend Warriors. But Thumbscrew was kind of a family affair. It was Daniel, Derek, and his cousin Poopy on drums, and Steven. So any guy that can have a cool ass nickname like that, he's cool as shit. Like no one's gonna fuck with him. So like a quick story, I remember that this is, moment in my brain of being dropped off of my dad at some DIY venue in Killeen, Harker Heights, and Poopy was there in his badass blue Ford Focus hatchback, big old subs, blasting Botch, We Are the Romans. Blew my mind, followed up by like Mike Jones, Paul Wall, which cut to Houston shit where I'm like, whoa. So that's kind of a nutshell of like how I grew up. Like we had that shit with the latest screwed stuff that was from Houston, like a mixtape that was, say dropped a couple weeks. That was our vibe in Central Texas. But yeah, I had to start with that, and a lot of my picks are just giving props to those that helped me find myself.
That's amazing. That's kind of the ultimate prop, like the biggest compliment you could give. Let's hear a little bit of it. Here is Fighting Wonders by Thumbscrew. Next one we have is Best of the One-Liners by The Y Equals. So Eric, tell me a bit about this track.
So this song appeared on a previous LP. This has all been self-released. This was a band from San Antonio that would venture up to Killeen and play a lot. Became good friends. It was a real tight 4-piece. They played balls to the wall, fast as shit. Kind of very frenetic energy. They would light the cymbals with lighter fluid and light it on fire and play it out.
Wow.
They were not liked in a lot of these bars and venues. They played once and that was about it. But yeah, this was the cover of the first release of the Best of the One-Liners, but they released it with the tighter version on a better studio version of this one that came out in 2004. Yeah, Ben, the singer, super cool guitarist dude. I reconnected with him on Facebook. He's like a marathon runner, Ultraman runner. But again, like, these are like big brother figures I was seeking out. He turned me on to so much cool shit like Jawbox, Quicksand, Seaweed. Just a lot of the cool shit that, like, I don't know, super word of mouth back then. I was the annoying little brother at the shows, be like, yo, what are you listening to? What inspired you? Like, I should have put that shit into zines, but I didn't. I was just selfish and kept it for my own brain.
No, but it's not even selfish. It's like, how were you to know that that putting it in a zine would have been something worth doing, I guess? Because like, it's that has always been music. It's always been like social, where you go to your cooler older brother figures or your whatever, and find through them, like, hey, what are you listening to? What's sick? What's cool? Like, what's a cool band that I've never heard of? And you go find it. That shit doesn't really exist anymore because it's all been algorithmicized away or whatever. But
right.
It's a cool part of music that used to really exist, and honestly, it's part of the reason why like this show exists, is the obsession with like cassettes and physical media and a time gone by is really cool. Like, even it's like a generational love letter to Gen X, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Gen X is fucking cool, and like they never got all the best music is like Gen X shit, right. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't know, I got off topic there, but let's listen to a little bit of The Y Equals. Here is some of Best of the One-Liners. Next up is a band called Stadium, and the song that you picked, Eric, is called Crown. So tell me a bit about Stadium and about Crown.
So Stadium is the first Houston band on this playlist mixtape. What's really cool about the packaging, it was like all hand-sewn little pockets.
Oh, wow.
Very DIY, just one slip of paper that they printed and cut out and then stamped.
Oh, like, wow.
Kids, take note, like, you can just fucking do this.
Yeah, and that's the best way to do it. But for the folks who are just listening, Eric has the actual physical packaging, and it is sort of a, can you hold it up again? It's like a checkered, almost cloth, it looks like, right?
Yeah, it's a cloth that has like a piece of cardboard in it to keep it sturdy, but yeah.
And this was obviously kind of a small release. Yeah,
it was a small self-release. So the band features members of this band that turned me on to the Houston scene. They were called Little Compass, and never got to see them, but best friends with it was dueling vocals, Ramsey Bashara and forgive me, I forget his name right now, but this is where I was trying to write the notes, but I forgot. And then on drums is Daniel Hawkins, who he appears later in don't want to spoil the second to last song.
Don't spoil. Don't give too much away.
Right, but so the way that this kind of meet cute happened, I found him through Pure Volume, or I think was it 2 episodes ago, you guys were talking about like Last FM and other social media.
Yes.
And I remember the Scrabbles and all that. So the designer, Molly Rodriguez, she had designed this with her brother Michael Rodriguez, and they did this with other friends. They sewed it all together. She had a live journal at the time that did tutorials for Photoshop, and that's where I learned some shit. Cut to Ramsey came to my Starbucks when I moved here in 04. It was 05, I think I met him. I kind of was a little starstruck, dude. Like, oh shit, that's that dude Ramsey. You can't miss dudes back then, big swoopy hair. I gave him a coffee for free, and he was like, oh, thanks, man. He's like, you know that band? I'm like, yeah, I just moved here a couple years ago, but still, he's like, oh, that band's done. This is the new band, Stadium. Come see my show at Fitzgerald's. That place is gone too, but yeah, they kind of welcomed me in with open arms. Like, I was the best man in his wedding, best groomsman, one of them. And no, it's just a beautiful thing of like just being brave enough to say hi to the people that impacted you, or just, you don't know where it can go, but
well, especially when it's at a scale like that, you know what I mean? I don't think that person's going to hear that very often. So like it really means a lot. And it's something that, again, I was talking about the difference between our current very digital, very online world versus like the physical world. I bring this up quite a bit, I think, on the show, but it's the idea of if you release a song or you release a YouTube video, you make anything, and it gets like under 1,000 listens or 1,000 views, it's considered a flop or whatever. And it's not really. Like if 250 people heard a song that you released,
oh, dude,
you'd be disappointed because you're like, oh, it should have been more people. If 250 people were in a room listening to a song you're playing, you're going to be fucking stoked. And that's really what it comes down to. So I imagine that to them, that felt really good to hear that you're a fan, and it's cool that they welcomed you with open arms. Let's hear a little bit of the song. It's called Crown, and it's by Stadium. Next up, this is where the playlist, the mixtape, we'll call it, starts to calm down a bit, I feel like. The song is Oh My God, and the band is Papermoons. I'll give the listeners and the viewers a peek behind the curtain. You switched this one up at the last minute. You had a different song by Papermoons, and then you decided to use Oh My God. So tell me a bit about Oh My God.
So the first song I picked, you can check it out later on your own term. It was a Holy Cow. It's just a fun name, and I love the way Matt Clark. So this is Danny's on drums on this one. It's a 2-man band. They kind of did that postal service type thing before he was living in Ohio. Danny's was in Houston at the time. They were recording demos together, sending it through email. But yeah, here's a full length. Danny designed this as well.
Oh wow! So for the listeners, Eric is holding up it's a 12-inch vinyl of the album that this is off of. It's called No Love.
Yes. So to kind of go back where everything is connected, that's how I like to make my mixtape playlist. In that song Stadium, Ramsey name drops 2 bands or 2 references. He says, it's pretty much like a rock and roll, like let's have fun, let's drink, stay up all night. Listen to AOL. AOL, that was a reference to Archers of Loaf, not the internet.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I thought that's what it was too. I asked him outside of a venue, and he was like, no, it's one of my favorite bands, Archers of Loaf, from, Merge Records. And then the second reference was, let's listen to Papermoons. They say that twice. So enter Papermoons, the song, next, the band. Really cool. It's a 2-man band. Matt plays guitar, and he has these awesome bass pedals that look like organ things. I've never seen a band do it. The other time I did see it was that band Helio Sequence. They're from Seattle. That he did that as well, and that was really rad. super great music. Just I love it. It's if you dig on Elliott Smith, you'll like it.
The Papermoons folks were probably pumped to be name dropped alongside Archers of Loaf. That is very high praise and high company. So I love it.
They were drinking buddies. They all loved each other. It was kind of like, like rappers dropping like, "Yo, this is my homie over here," like spitting bars. Like it was kind of like that. Matt and Danny used to live. I live in the Heights in Houston. It's a really like cool historic neighborhood. They used to live in this apartment they would call it the Treetop, something like that, and it was like a garage apartment, and we would all just drink cheap beer up there and listen to music, and that's where I kind of learned a lot of like that early 2000s, late 90s indie, singer-songwriter like Jason Molina and all that. Like, yeah, they turned me on to a lot of cool stuff. Like, I love giving flowers to those that deserve it, not while they're still alive. So again, all of this whole mixtape is a love letter to the homies and that made great music.
Yeah, the folks who influenced your taste, and that's how it should be. Let's listen to a little bit of the song "Oh My God" by Papermoons. And so now we're about halfway through the mixtape, and this is the one coming up is my second favorite song of the ones you picked. The Match is what it's called, and it is by a band called the Eastern Sea. So tell me a bit about the Eastern Sea.
So the Eastern Sea features members from Houston and Austin. They formed in college, I believe, when they went to UT, but a lot of members are from Houston, so they would play here a lot with Papermoons and the band after this song. The Match is on the album Plague. This album was actually crowdfunded. It was originally on a CD, and they crowdfunded fans to have it on an LP. It took a couple years, but it's fucking worth it. I love it. It's one of my favorite records. Limited to 300. Because it's a mixtape, I wanted to do this double, like these two songs kind of bleed together, Santa Rosa into America. But The Match is a great intro on the B-side. It kind of swells. You can see that they're probably fans of like Broken Social Scene. And I love that kind of guitar swell that is like an ode to early U2. That last build-up part. Matt's a great vocalist, great lyricist, and it's a cool ensemble. They have like horns in the arrangement, a lot of cool clapping that is not like cheesy.
It's all of those things are like things that I love, so it's no surprise to me that I loved this. I mean, like, I unabashedly love U2. I think that they get such a bad rap. I think they're a fucking cool band, especially the early shit is like insane. Broken Social Scene I absolutely adore as well, and I love horns and instruments along those lines, and I also love hand claps, so I love it all. Let's listen to a little bit of The Match by the Eastern Sea.
And the people sitting in your living room, well, if they don't know you, who do they know? Oh, planes are flying overhead.
And then next up, you said this band is related sort of to the Eastern Sea. They're called Buxton, and the song that you picked is called Feathers. So tell me a bit about Feathers.
The mixtape is kind of anchored by like three, I don't know, they're all big bands that to me, they're big to me, that a lot of my friend groups came from, especially Buxton. Buxton, I would joke and say like, this is where I became very popular in the scene of, they had a big fan club of homies, a mutual appreciation club. Everyone like that would do photography, do anything. Didn't have to be creative per se. Just loved the band. We would all hang out, drink, go to all the shows. It would always be lively. So the song I picked is Feathers. It was featured on a 7-inch. That was a limited run, Feathers and Flint. But later released on the they put it out, reissued 2 years ago now, I think, and as a bonus tracks rather. Buxton is, nearest dearest friend. Sergio's on lead vocal. We got backup vocals by Austin Sepulveda. He's featured later on this mixtape. Chris Wise on bass. Jason on guitar. He does mandolin as well. He's kind of the multi-instrumentalist. I think he even may have done keys on some of it. There's horns on this track. This track is just, is the epitome of them live. And when I hear the song, it makes me think of this great outdoor live venue. So this is a precursor to the Houston Free Press Summerfest I mentioned. They used to be a block party that was on Westheimer's, like the big major thoroughfare in Montrose, the kind of hip artsy area, or was, everything's being changing. Well, they played this outside, and it felt like it was just a makeshift stage, and they invited everyone to come up. They gave them sparklers. I had sparklers. We're all just dancing and singing. The stage is like it's going to give way. It scratches that itch. That time in my life, I was super into. I still am, like alt country, finding the birds, loving all that, and Sergio is a dear friend, and we talked a lot about music, and you can hear a lot of the cool influences on it, like big sound, bright eyes, like turn it up, boys, fuck it up, boys, let's make some noise, on Lifted, like that type of vibe with that ruckus, and that's captured here with the horn intro, and it just kind of builds. It kind of goes like a roller coaster. I don't know. It's a fun song.
It is a very fun song, and I was honestly really surprised to see that it was just listed as a bonus track on this. But like you said, it was its own kind of 7-inch thing. For those of you who are listening, tune in, come tune into the video, because I think it's very cool that you have physical versions of pretty much all of these picks that you have. First person to do that. Let's listen to a little bit of Buxton. The song is Feathers. Next up is a cool song by a guy called David Dondero. The song is called Rothko Chapel, which the Rothko Chapel is a thing in Houston. The Rothko in question, the titular Rothko, is the Mark Rothko, the artist. So I have been to the Rothko Chapel one time. Very, very Hell cool. Yeah. And this song, is obviously an homage to that. But for the people who don't know, maybe tell us a little bit about the Rothko Chapel and also about this song, why you picked it.
The Rothko Chapel is a really cool, interesting space. It's, a place for meditation, quiet reflection. There's features, I think 5. Don't quote me. There's, Rothko pieces in there from his dark period. The architecture is designed to better, best view that with all natural light. It's open to all. I've was bared witness to the Football Etc. gals, which are the next song. They got married in that chapel, which is really awesome. And there's no photos allowed in the chapel, which is really cool. It's a sacred space, and the song is just awesome. It's David Dondero talking about like his view on life and his higher power, if you will, being art, science, and literacy, and also kind of a badass diss on someone who broke his heart. Your heart is like the Rothko Chapel, cold, dark, something and demeaning. Like, wow, like that. If I got a letter from like an ex, I would be like destroyed if they said my heart is like the Rothko Chapel.
Also, huge compliment. I mean, the Rothko Chapel's beautiful. Exactly. There you go. Let's listen to a little bit of it. Here is Rothko Chapel by David Dondero.
Your heart is like the Rothko Chapel, cold, dark, void, yet simple and intriguing. somewhat comforting. Got me believing almost anything. There was this line by Charlie Parker.
We are almost done. The penultimate track here. You just teased it. Football, Etc. is the band. The song is Howler. And, in soccer, also known as football, a howler is when the goalie makes a mistake. So there you go. A little soccer fact for you. But tell me a bit about Football, Etc. and about this song, Howler.
So Football, Etc. is a 3-piece, great band. Huge following in emo revival, if you want to call it that. I don't know if I like that term, but I heard about them before I met them, and so it's Lindsay and Mercy. They're a married couple, and Danny Hawkins, we mentioned earlier, on drums. He was an original drummer. There was a previous drummer. He's since have passed away, R.I.P. I lost my train of thought. Football, Etc. It's kind of was a band I dug before, and I saw them at, I think it was a record store called Vinyl Junkie, and some friends were playing with them, and I think that was one of the last times where I was like nervous to meet someone or meet guys, meet these gals. And I knew Danny already, so that he's kind of my way in, but they're kind of emo royalty. And I think you mentioned there's another conversation of a band being bigger outside of their local hometown. Sometimes they are that way, but anyway, I want to blow up their new spot. There's a new album that Lindsay Mercy, or new band Lindsay Mercy started, called Hew, Hew. It's bigger sounds. It's, if you like Football, Etc., it's about the same, but all the
Football,
songs,
Etc. They're still around, right? They still make music.
There's kind of like they're in hiatus. Danny lives in North Carolina now. I think they'll probably come back together to maybe record something new in the future, and or do like cool festivals and stuff. But
for now, to get your Football, Etc. fix, you should go listen to Hew.
Yeah, they got 2 songs on Bandcamp and Spotify. Football, Etc. is great. A lot of the song titles are, references to soccer and American football. If you're fans of American football, Rainer Maria, you'll fucking love them. This song rocks. It's
hell yeah. Well, let's listen to a little bit of it. Here is Howler by Football, Etc.
Can you figure out what I was looking at?
And then, the last track, I always talk to people about why did they pick this song as a closer, because I think the closer is so important, obviously. But in my notes, I wrote about this one, my fave, no doubt. The band is Mr. Data. The song is Life Ordinary. And after I listened to this one, I repeated this one like 3 or 4 times, and I went and added their most recent EP to my liked songs and stuff. So Mr. Data was the band of this bunch that really won me over. Tell me a bit about Mr. Data. Who are they? How do you know them?
That's awesome and great to hear. I'll relay that to the band. So Buxton, this features Austin Sepulveda of Buxton. He was the other guitarist and would do accompanying vocals. Sometimes he would do lead on a song. This is his outfit. Currently, I think they're playing as a 3-piece. The name is in reference to Data from Star Trek.
Sick.
But they're not a fan band, if you will. But for sure that it was tough. I wanted to pick another song. If I had more time, I would have put. Let me pull up the name real quick. But
the one that hit me was Missing the Metaphor. I really, really enjoyed that one. That
one rules. I like that song a lot too, but I picked this one because I wanted to highlight when he posted up the album cover. I did the single cover, which was like a cool digital collage in reference to some of the lyrics in there. But I really also wanted to play this one. It was called Transporter Room 3.
Yes.
Which has, it's kind of like a folk like a Billy Bragg-esque.
Yeah, like a
protest
working
song.
class anthem or a protest song, something along those lines.
Yeah, but it's so cool. Like Austin's a great songwriter and lyricist, but he makes it about that one of the captains in Deep Space Nine. Aloysius, I can't remember. Forgive me. You attack me in the comments.
I love the fact that he took influence from something like that because in my so here's a little shameless plug, but in my like upcoming album, I think this is releasing on the 28th, I believe, so my album will be out in like 2 weeks. But on my upcoming album, pretty much every song is like inspired by other media, which I've never done before, and it's a very freeing way to write music. It's like, oh, the characters are already there, the stories are already there, the world's there. You don't have to build a world, you don't have to build characters, you just kind of put them in places and let it happen. So pretty cool stuff. Let's listen to a little bit of this one by Mr. Data. It's called Life Ordinary. And there we go. That's it. That is your mixtape, Eric. So tell me a little bit about how you felt about it. Would you have done anything different? I know you mentioned you had a lot of other stuff that you couldn't throw on here, and you were saying you could do a whole nother one perhaps at some point.
Oh, for sure. I did a long form version on Spotify that I could share later with the public and maybe on the YouTube link. But no, it was really fun I love the exercise of making mixtapes, and I love that I had to be like at 8 songs, and I'm grateful that you let me sneak and put one more extra in there, because it was seriously like picking which child to like save or shoot.
Yeah, it's so when we started it, I remember I was like 10 to 12 songs, that would be great. And like when we started the idea for this show, I was like 10 to 12 songs, that'll be awesome. And Graham was like, co-founder Graham was like, I don't know, 10 to 12 seems like a lot. I was like, come on, bro, it's going to be great. And then I talked to a publicist who I was trying to convince to help me book this thing. And she was like, 10's a lot. And I was like, what about 8? And she was like, what about 5 or 6? And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. And then as we've gone episode by episode, I finally like shortened the doc to say 6 to 8, because I started it as 10 to 12. By the third person I booked, I switched it to 8 to 10. Then I switched it to 6 to 8. So now we're in the sweet spot of 6 to 8. But this one was incredible. Eric, thank you for putting it together. Let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to play a really quick lightning round type of game. All right, we're going to close everything out as we like to do with a game. Today, we got a bracket. Brackets are the gift that keep on giving. I love brackets. And, because Eric, you are a designer and you're an artist, we're doing an album art bracket. Makes sense, right?
Woo! Yeah.
So the way I determined these 16 albums, I went to Rolling Stone's 100 Best Album Covers of All Time, and I picked 16 random album covers. I sort of, maybe not super random. I tried to like pull from different parts of the design world. I didn't want it all to just be photography. So we're gonna get into it. Eric, I'm gonna basically give you 2 albums, and then you, lightning round style, will kind of tell me what you're seeing and why one design speaks to you more. Anything you want to say about your criteria before we start on this?
Totally subjective. There's no criteria. All comers are welcome.
Okay, so let's get it started. Our first matchup is a pretty crazy one. We've got My Bloody Valentine's art for Loveless and Tyler, the Creator, with Igor. What are you thinking here, Eric?
Man, you got to go with that My Bloody Valentine Loveless. Like, that picture, it sums up what everyone thinks like a shoegaze album needs to look like. That washy imagery, full-blown color bleeding everywhere, like that's iconic. I feel like that is shoegaze in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's a tough one to go up against. Sorry, Tyler, the Creator. You know, we love you. And Igor, album art is incredible, but My Bloody Valentine is moving on to the next round. The next matchup, this one, so the way that these matchups fell, it was random number generator. This one turned out pretty cool. It's the Clash's art for London Calling, and then the Elvis Presley art for 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong. The Clash, London Calling, obviously inspired by a different famous Elvis Presley album cover. So, Eric, what are you thinking here?
I love that this numeral like generator thing made these two attack each other and go for it. I gotta go with the Clash, Joe Strummer all day. I also love learning later that they, you know, that was inspired by a Elvis Presley cover. I didn't know that until much later.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I think it's very cool, and you know, for me, London Calling's my favorite album of all time, so I get why you picked it. Though this 50 Million Elvis Fans Can't Be Wrong cover is so weird and cool and so ahead of its time. Like,
oh, dude,
to do that sort of collage idea with him and the different sizes, it's almost like they were breaking design rules at that time, and I think that's really cool.
It's super fun. I love all the spoofs that, like, the memes after that. Like, there's so many other bands that do like 50,000 blah 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 Can't Be Wrong, and it's, you know, whoever put in place of Elvis. Like, I love that as a meme, but yeah, I guess my criteria is also like which one I'm going to jam. Like Lost in a Supermarket, one of my all-time favorite songs. So.
All right, so London Calling by The Clash, moving on to the next round. Next up, Beastie Boys, License to Ill versus Notorious B.I.G., Ready to Die. So, yeah, the album art, again, obviously iconic for both of these. The Beastie Boys one has the jet, the tail of the jet, and the Notorious B.I.G. has the little baby Biggie.
Little Bambino. Now, I love the Beastie Boy album itself as a debut, but I love the design. Like, I love when the gatefold, when you open it up and it's like smashed in. I didn't know that until like I found like a copy at like Half Price Books years ago. Like, dude, it's well done. It's so cool, and I think it's a painting too. Like, that's some skill, some skill to pay the bills. That's
your style. I didn't know that until today when I was researching this. That when you open the vinyl, the front end of the jet is crashed into the side of a cliff, like you said. So it's that right there is like why physical album design is so cool. Which one of these are you moving on?
I'm going with the Beastie Boys.
All right,
MCA
Beastie
forever.
Boys,
R.I.P.
License to Ill, moving on to the next round. Next up, we have a very interesting matchup. It's like maximalism versus absolute minimalism. Devo, Are We Not Men versus Beatles' White Album. So tell me a bit about what you're seeing in a design sense between these two.
I do love minimalism, but that Devo album, it's the epitome of like who they are. There's humor, there's loud colors, fun design of like the text going like all dancey with the handwritten on top. With the creepy dude, yeah, man, you got to go with the creepy Ken. I do love the packaging of the White Album. Subtleness. I think I've seen somewhere it's like embossed, where it's like pressed into it.
Well, then the idea of the Beatles one was that it's like it's customizable because the white's going to show every scuff, right? So like everyone's version is unique. So conceptually, very high concept, very cool. But then Devo, I mean, you're right. Devo is just Devo, and it's so brash, and it is the weirdest toss-up that I've ever seen. But where do you land? Who are you moving on to the next round?
I gotta go with Devo. I'm also, my criteria is also who would I want to see, and like I don't want to see zombies playing music, aka the Beatles coming from the ground. But let's go Devo.
I think this is the biggest upset so far of this tournament. tournament. So let's go ahead and just knock out this side of the bracket since we're already here.
Sweet.
So we've got London Calling versus Loveless. So My Bloody Valentine versus The Clash. Again, the album art here, both iconic album arts. Which one are you moving on and why?
I'll probably pick MBV over London Calling just because, you know, it's its own entity. Like it's its own vibe. Like I do like, you know, the callback to Elvis, and man, no, like I love that album as well. And buying like a reissued version on the LP, like I think, I don't know, like 15 years ago or something, and just seeing it and holding it, like it's, I don't know, it's pretty powerful, dude. Like the photography is amazing, and that color choice of the type being like rosy pink on it, it's kind of like lost in the waves of the sound, if you will.
Yeah, it is. It's a very it speaks very, very nicely to what it holds within it, what the music is. So My Bloody Valentine, Loveless, moving on to the finals on this side of the bracket. Meeting it will be either Beastie Boys, License to Ill, or Devo, Are We Not Men? I think I already know where you're going with this, but why don't you tell the people what you're thinking?
Man, I'm having so much fun with this in my brain. I'm like imagining, do you remember with that claymation show on MTV, like Celebrity Deathmatch? I would love to see Devo fight the Beastie Boys as claymation.
It would be good.
Dude, it's a tough one because like both records, I special place in my heart. I love the design. I love the silliness of Devo, but that Beastie Boys with that hidden, you know, like the kind of like, you got to have the physical media to see that plane get, you know, destroyed. I got to go with Beastie Boys on this one.
I think that's the right pick, and I prefer Devo way more than Beastie Boys. I honestly am not really the biggest Beastie Boys fan. I appreciate them as artists. I think what they were doing was really, really cool. I don't really listen to them, but Devo, I fucking love Devo, but I'm with you. I think Beastie Boys moves on. Beastie Boys, License to Ill versus My Bloody Valentine, Loveless. The winner of this goes to the final. Who do you got and why?
Ooh, man, tough. I'm gonna have to keep it with My Bloody Valentine. Like, they're louder, visually louder. Like, it's so bold that like you know, this album, they're hiding the text, like it's on the bottom. You're flipping the records this way. You're not seeing that. You're probably stopping because like, what is this weird fuchsia colored sleeve?
Yeah, you're right. It is like an explosion of loudness, and again, it matches what's going on in there. So My Bloody Valentine over Beastie Boys, License to Ill. My Bloody Valentine, Loveless, is in the finals. Who is it going to face off against? Here is the other side of the bracket. We've got Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures versus Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. What are we thinking here? Again, this is sort of a kind of a minimalism versus maximalism matchup here.
Oh, for sure. And this one, I'm going to go minimalism. Peter Seville is like an amazing graphic designer, huge influence on me. I love Joy Division. I love New Order. I'm a big fan of all his work. And I like the band better than Sex Pistols. Like Sex Pistols, I'm going to say a big no.
100% Sex Pistols are a big no, but they are iconic from a design perspective. I mean, what are we working with font wise on this fucking thing? It's like nothing works, nothing goes together,
anti-design.
And it's so anti-design, and that is so cool in its own way. But you are, yeah, exactly. It sounds like you're moving on Joy Division, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, Unknown Pleasures on to the next round. The next matchup. Heavy hitters right here. We've got Talking Heads, Remain in Light versus Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. I mean, tell me what you're seeing when you look at the designs of these albums.
Oh man, both are captivating in their own sense. Like, it's very like visually arresting, both of them, with the red splotchy faces, like creepy serial killer looking thing for the Talking Heads. But then he also got the surreal painting on Bitches Brew, which amazing album in and of itself, and also Remain in Light. Like, it's a tough one. I I like Talking Heads design because like I know who did it is some gentleman Tibor Coleman that did M and Co. It's a great design firm in the 80s and 90s. Did all of David Byrne's stuff, but I'm gonna flip it and do the Bitches Brew just to play devil's advocate. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. This is like one of those matchups where some college basketball team, maybe a main player theirs is out for the year, but they still somehow squeak into the tournament, and suddenly like you have a 6 versus 11 with like 2 powerhouse schools, and you're just like, what is happening? This shouldn't be happening so early, but this is it. And you're moving on, Miles Davis, Bitches Brew.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah. All right, next matchup. This one is interesting to me. Both incredible albums, both very different albums. FKA Twigs, LP1, versus Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. Obviously, totally different styles of art here. So tell us a little bit about what you're seeing here.
And totally different types of music as well. Both are great albums. I enjoy both of them. I love like the ultra realism. I don't know. I can't tell if it's like a real person or if it's like a model or 3D or something, right?
Yeah, so I think what happened was the artist took a picture of FKA Twigs and then turned it into this 3D model and totally abstracted it and like made it look just plastic almost. A very bizarre. I mean, it is, to me, that album cover, I remember from the moment I saw it, it just like never left my brain. It is really, really beautiful stuff. And then obviously you got Low End Theory, which is iconic in its own way with the brush strokes and the kind of the green paint and the red and the black colors. Yeah.
I really like that record, audibly and visually as well. I'll probably have to go with FKA Twigs on this one just because, I do remember when it came out and be like, damn, this is very visually arresting for sure as well. And yeah, let's mix it up. I feel like I'm just going to go wild card on this side.
I agree with you. I think the FKA Twigs one is better art. That's a crazy thing to say, better art, but like, I think it moves on as well. I agree with your premise here. And for me, it's because Low End Theory is not even the best Tribe Called Quest art. That's just how it is, Midnight Marauders, right? That one's but I do love how it made this compete against each other, both having figures. That's really cool. Random number generators doing its thing. Our final matchup of this side of the bracket, we've got Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly versus Rolling Stones, Some Girls. You couldn't get more different. These two album covers are very, very different. So what are you seeing when you look at these?
Oh, man. I like both records a lot, too, for different reasons. Like, that photo is just so badass of Kendrick Lamar. But the actual physical media of Some Girls, like, on an LP is awesome with the die cuts. And they slide it in and out. And they're like, I think they had different versions with some, like, not foil.
Yeah, there's definitely different versions of it. There's a slide out ones. There's a print on ones. Yeah, and also, I mean, music aside, like design-wise, it is just it was so different than anything that was being made at that time, especially for a band of that scale. And same with Kendrick, though. You could say Kendrick's art was very different than anything being made by an artist of that scale at the time as well. So it is a very tough matchup. What are you thinking between these two?
Probably have to go with Some Girls just because it's, just going visually, it's very fun. I like the printed elements of die cuts and colored paper, and it's very fun. It's I need that in my collection. I don't have a copy of that.
Some Girls is moving on to the next round. So let's go through it. We've got Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures facing off against Miles Davis, Bitches Brew. Which one's moving on for you? Two iconic album covers.
We're gonna have to go with Joy Division. That one's the one.
It makes sense. I mean, you mentioned how the artist is an influence on you, so I can see them making a run here. Joy Division over Bitches Brew. Moving on. Next, FKA Twigs LP1 versus Some Girls. What are we thinking? Right side of the bracket was stacked, I will say.
Yeah. I like that they're both like heads chopped off. Like that's kind of a cool relation visually. Man, let's go with like print production. Like that's so cool. I love seriously the die cuts on it. Let's go with Some Girls, Rolling Stones, and like to mention the Joy Division, that being minimal, the paper choice is so awesome. It's textured. It just like has a different weight to it. It feels like not, like visual weight. Like it does have a little bit of more tooth to it, if you will. Like it's heavier stock, paper stock, but it's so cool. Like these subtle design choices that Peter chose.
Well, and so you're already talking about Joy Division, and that is the matchup here. We got Joy Division versus Rolling Stones, Some Girls. So Unknown Pleasures or Some Girls? This is the winner moves on to the final. What are we thinking?
Yeah, man, I feel like Joy Division is the strong contender. They're the bracket leader. They won before and they're coming for seconds.
It's wild to me because Joy Division versus Rolling Stones on this side, and then you had Beastie Boys versus My Bloody Valentine. They're both very similar matchups where like Some Girls and License to Ill both are like, hey, this is a really cool physical idea, and the other ones are like, yeah, but we really represent what's in here. And that takes us to the final. It's going to be Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures versus My Bloody Valentine, Loveless.
Dude, this is so tough. If we had more time, I would run to my shelf and like pull both of these out and like compare them. But this game was already like won from the first like match. This Joy Division, man, like
wow.
I don't have any tattoos, but if I did, I would be another cheesy nerd with that on.
And you know what? In Rolling Stone's 100 best album covers of all time, it also finished number one. So
it did? Oh wow.
It did. I believe it did. So there you go. Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures. We all knew it was going to happen. I shouldn't have even included them, to be honest, but I did. Eric, thank you so much for playing that game, and thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Why don't you tell the people about what you're working on and where they can find it?
You can find me on Instagram at Beignetti. It's like Beignet Yeti. That's my personal one. BEIGNYETI. And from there, you can find out my personal website. It's just my name, Eric Castorena, with a dash in between.com. And then the DJ Collective, Post Post, you can find us on Instagram as well at postpost.htx. We did a really cool gig for this awesome barbecue shop over here that they're about to have a real brick and mortar called Willow's Smokehouse, Willow's Barbecue. Great guys. He is a legend in the local music scene. Used to book under Hate Tank, brought a bunch of great punk and metal bands like Ceremony, Power Trip. He asked and we're like, let's go. I'm down.
Hell yeah. Well, keep an eye on the Post Instagram, because maybe you guys will be out there at the brick and mortar at some point again this fall or this winter, right?
Oh yeah.
Amazing, Eric. Thank you so much. Look, listeners, viewers, I got to tell you, as always, you already know, it's tapeclub.substack.com. That's where you can support us. You can sign up if you want to get the cassette tapes, the physical cassette tapes that'll get mailed to you. That'll happen once a quarter. And I think it might not be one tape. I might be throwing in some random goodies in there. Who the hell knows? But also, you don't have to sign up. You can just sign up for the free one. I don't really care. This is just fun for me to do, and I hope it's fun for y'all to watch. And Eric, I hope it was fun for you to be a part of. Thank you for coming, listeners. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time here on the J-Card. The J-Card podcast is a fully independent production. It is made possible by listeners and viewers just like you. So if you want to support us, tapeclub.substack.com is the place to go.